Hello. Hey, how's it going, folks? So, good rehearsal this morning. Organ trio project thing I'm doing with Miles Crayford and Mike Jensen. And so we went over to Mike's place today and played through some tunes, and I use this guitar. Man, those guys were kicking ass too. It felt really good. So I got home. I just bought this pedal off this guy on the internet, on Facebook. Cheers. And it's funny. I met up with a guy, exchanged cash for it, you know, and all that. And he said, "Oh, I've seen you play at some of your gigs. So you never know who's there, right?" But yeah, I wanted to talk about that today, about how to run 2 amps. So at the moment I'm running, you can probably see them back there, there's a Bassman and a Deluxe. If I go like that, there you go. Those 2 amps, they're both running at the same time. And I thought I'd talk about kind of how to do it, what the downfalls are, why you even need a box like this, right? But first, I'm going to play something, because I feel like playing something until people join. So this is Crispy Funk 2, it's called. I don't even know who it's by. I'm going to figure that out. Minimalist guitar. I'm going to hit like on that and yeah, check it out. So it's minimalist guitar. It says Crispy Funk 2, guitar backing track, F minor, 90 PM. I guess it means beats per minute. Yeah, so I had this. I don't know what the track is as usual. I just play along with whatever's there. It's currently 7:30 PM on a Friday night. I realize it's not a great time for those in the US or Europe probably, but for my Kiwi and Aussie mates, hopefully this works for you. So yeah, anyway, this is Crispy Funk 2. Both amps on. Just my mic here picking it up. Let's turn that up a bit. Number of bars. A number of beats, I should say.
Yay! Insurance!
Had to have an ad in it, didn't it? I just streamed these off YouTube on my iPad down here, so there you go. This guitar's sounding particularly sweet at the moment. I find that this kind of guitar is actually perfect for an organ trio thing, which is what we were doing today. Cheers, everybody. It's Friday night here. It's 7:42 p.m. as I mentioned. So that's why I can have a beer. Wouldn't be doing it if it was the morning. Maybe I would. It's just something about that tone, you know. That's the middle pickup. This is the neck pickup. And then middle. And then bridge. Even bridge. I don't normally like bridge pickup clean, but I do on this guitar. Like that's totally happening, you know what I mean? It sounds good. Anyway, so what I'm doing, I'm running the 2 amps. So I've done this before. I used to do this quite often actually, is run 2 amps. And there is actually something cool about a Bassman and a Deluxe running side by side, which is what I'm using at the moment. And a Deluxe is a 12-inch speaker, and it's 20 watts. Well, my one is. And then a Bassman is 45 watts and 4 10-inch speakers. So you have the 10-inch speakers, which have more brightness and more push. And also too, that's running at 2 ohms, I think. So just check that's working. There we go. Running at 2 ohms. And the thing is, when you have 2 ohms, you get that. It's really immediate. It's very push. There's a lot of push on the front of it, you know. Not pushy like an AC30 or something like that, but, you know, for a Fender, it's one of the reasons people love the super reverbs, right? Same thing with the Bassman amps, you know, they got that push. But then you have that 12-inch speaker for a little more low end and a different mid-range push, right? You put the two together. I mean, I'm literally just using my mic here. It's a vintage AKG 451 pencil mic. It's just a nice natural room sound, right? I use it for a vocal mic, mostly because it's light and it's small. But that's a good sound, and the amps are barely on. So what I'm doing is I'm running it out of this. I'm actually running through my pedal board. It's where the reverb's coming from that you're hearing. I've literally only got the reverb on at the moment. Then coming out of the pedal board into this Big Shot ABY. I'll get to that in a minute, by a radial, and then split out of the 2 to the amps. Now you can run out of like a delay pedal in 2. You can run out of a stereo chorus or something like that. The problem's going to be that you're going to get hum. I'll show you what I mean, right? If I go... Right, that's both amps. Let's move this lift down. Can you hear that hum? So what it's doing is it's lifting the hum on output B. Lifting the ground hum. Now I know some people will say, you know, you can lift the ground in other ways. You know, there's all kinds of dodgy ways of doing it. Don't do it, right? The other thing too is you have an isolator, right? So with both the amps on, you can hear the hum. And then if I isolate output B, it's clean, right? I kind of wish they'd built something like this into the VP4, then you wouldn't need this box, but, you know, hey, so be it. And at the moment, I'm just coming in a mono, and I'm going out to split to 2 amps, a dual mono. But you could run stereo, and the way you would do that is you go out of your effects in one side to straight to the amp, and the other side you'd come into this box and you'd run out of output B so you could lift the hum. But if I turn that ISO off and the lift, alright, you can hear it's doing quite a bit. The other thing too is when you have oh man, thanks for joining. Good morning. It's evening here, but good morning. Cheers to that. The other thing too is when you're running 2 amps at the same time, if you have the speakers with phase, like if I play a note, the note has a wave that goes like this, right? Every note, right? The lower the note, the longer it takes to create, and the higher the note, the faster it goes, you know. If one's at the high point and then the other amp is the opposite way, you'll get them out of phase with each other, right? So being able to switch the phase is really important too. Now, both of my amps aren't, which is lucky. I don't know why. Some amps do, some amps don't. Depends kind of how that speaker... You can just flip it on the speaker. Yeah. But you don't... This is the easy way to do it, right? They'll just flip the phase 180. The way you tell... Right, you can tell which one's right because one will sound thinner and more nasally, and the other one comes right. You know, it's sort of where it should be. So something like this is essential. Now there are lots of these you can get. You can get some of them are more digital. I bought this one for $100 off a dude off Facebook. It was like super easy. I really like running 2 amps. Now the thing is with 2 amps, people think, oh well, you got twice as. I've had it before. I remember doing a gig one time, and one of the saxophone players on the gig was like, he goes, man, you're going to be really loud tonight. You got 2 amps. What do you need 2 amps for? And I was like, well, for one of my amps is only 20 watts. It's not going to last with a big full. This was a big band gig, right? That little 20 watt amp can't compete with a big band. It's just not going to. But it's an interesting thing because if you run 2 amps, you actually can play quieter than you can if you just run one. Reason being that you've got more spread and you hear things differently. I wouldn't necessarily say better, but usually it's better, right? And the thing is, when you hear things different on a different level like that, what happens is you don't need volume so much, right? And it becomes very easy to play. So I'll show you. This is just like, if I click that, I'm now just running 1 amp. And I can toggle between the two. So I'll go to the other amp. I'd say that's the Bassman. It doesn't have any lights on it, so you can't really see. And if I put both on, so you can see it's quite a profound difference, right? When you have the two, it's like the sound becomes a bit broader, a little more interesting. It's sort of the frequencies of one fills out what's missing in the other. That doesn't work if you don't have the phase the correct way around. You know, you've got to have them in phase with each other, or everything's just going to cancel. Right? But I mean, the thing with phase too is it's subjective. Some people might actually quite like the out of phase thing, and if you like that, then that's cool. Yeah, so I thought I'd just jump on here. Let's play another track. This is a funky Mixolydian thing. It says Mixolydian Funk Fusion backing track in G. I've played this one on my channel before. So you're listening to the 2 amps. Those two. That one and that one. Bassman and a Tweed Deluxe, both by the Victoria Amp Company, who make probably my favourite amps of anything. You know, Market Victoria really knows how to make a quality product. And they last. I've probably had that Bassman for, I think it's probably getting close to 20 years, and I've had the Deluxe for about 15, I think it is. So they've done good service for me, you know what I mean? And if I had to replace them now, I probably couldn't afford to. Crazy, isn't it? Some on mid pickup. I think this just stays on G. Love that pedal. So that's Jam Track's channel. I like that. That's a good track. So I set up a sound in this VP4. So this is a... Cheers, man. Thanks for joining. So that's just a harmonic tremolo for the kind of slower Leslie speeds. I really dig that. Man, we were playing some great tunes today. I was really enjoying the music we were playing for this trio thing. We had a gig coming up in a couple of weeks. In fact, we got 2 gigs coming up, I think. There's another one at Undercurrent as well in Wellington. So that'll be cool. And I'll probably take both amps. And in fact, I'll take just a little Tweed Deluxe for the first one, because it's only a small club. Which is what I used last night for my gig. The delay is a bit slow. I think it's probably too loud actually. That's better. Yeah, if delay's too loud, I find it distracting. See, like that, it kind of should blend with the guitar sound. I mean, it's one of those things where I sometimes just leave the delay on. See how all of a sudden when I went to just 1 amp, it doesn't sound bad. But now when I put them both on, right, like it kind of has a it kind of just, the sound becomes broader. It's not stereo. I'm not running a stereo. It's dual mono. There's two sounds. It works really well for jazz stuff. And I know a lot of jazz players jazz guitar players don't use 2 amps, but they should, right? I'm going to play, speaking of which, I'm going to play a jazz tune. What about All the Things You Are? Or as my friend Lee Jackson says, All the Things You Aren't. He's a pretty witty, funny guy. In fact, I've got to catch up with him soon. So it's literally just the reverb and the 2 amps and this microphone right here. Sounds like that sounds a sound that I'd be super happy with on a gig, right? Now you might be wondering, like, why not just use the Fractal? Someone asked me last night. He said, "Oh, we played this blues gig, right?" And he said, "Oh, why don't you just bring the AM4?" And I was like, "Well, then I've got to bring a speaker, which I would have bring my Fender FR10 or one of the red sounds that I got here or something like that." And I was to me, it's sort of when I'm playing blues and jazz stuff, I really just feel like playing an amp. And most of the time I just go straight into the amp. In fact, I probably wouldn't even bother with pedals for a jazz gig, because except for the need for reverb, right? Because neither of my amps have reverb on them. And even if they did, the reverb in the Fractal VP4 is way better. Or I've got a Hall of Fame on my little board, you know what I mean? Like those are way better than the reverbs you'll get in an amp. And reverb's really important to me. And delay, you know. But yeah, like, to me, it just feels like there needs to be more a pure thing. Do you know what I mean? Now, rock gig, by all means, take the Fractal stuff, you know. Pop gigs, theatre show, all kinds of stuff where those things are the best tool. Recording work, most of this YouTube stuff you see is the Fractals. But yeah, anyway, I digress. So I'm going to play All the Things You Are. This is Phil Wilkinson Music's All the Things You Are. It's organ and drums backing track, which is appropriate because I had an organ trio rehearsal today. So That's enough of that. Cheers, Teresa. Thank you. 1 amp. Both amps. You see what I mean? It's sort of, it becomes just bigger and broader. And of course my favorite setting on this guitar is always both pickups. And I typically, you'll notice I've taken off one volume and one tone. I do that with a lot of guitars. I don't tend to blend. I tend to just leave, I ride the volume by all means, but I don't tend to kind of put it in the middle and go between the pickups and try and get a blend of more neck to bridge. I don't do that. What I do is I have the bridge kind of higher and the neck kind of lower. And then what I'm looking for is the balance between the two, where the neck pickup sounds this way. Then I go to the bridge pickup, the middle, sorry. It kind of becomes a little brighter and broader. And then the bridge pickup is not a huge change, right? So I'm really looking for that. That thing where it's between the neck and the middle, right? Like the neck pickup, I want warmth, and on that middle pickup, I want it to be funky. You know what I mean? And you don't have to play funk with that sound. Like, it's a really good sound for. Got distracted. I realized for some reason I'm seeing my logo on the screen twice. I don't know if that's coming through to you guys. It's not showing that way on my computer, but I just noticed on the live stream feed that the logo's up the top and at the bottom. I got distracted, lost what I was playing. You know what I mean? Like, that's a really usable. This is such a good guitar. These Ibanez JSM100s. Man, if you see one around, just grab it. Totally great investment. Probably one of the ones I've made the most, used the most. It's this great stuff, Nick. Always a treat to learn from your live streams and videos. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Cheers. Where are you all joining from? Yeah, I don't know why the logo is showing up there twice. It's so dumb, because it doesn't show up that way on my screen. Good looking beer. Yeah, it's actually not bad, this one. It's a Kidadu beer, which is made here in from Seattle. Oh, cool. Not been to Seattle. I've been to the airport on a flight through to Alaska. We went Los Angeles, Seattle, through to Alaska. So I saw Seattle from the airport, and I'd love to go there. It looks a really pretty city, you know, lots of waterways and bridges and things, and you know, and of course, I'm sure the music there is fantastic too. Joining from Mumbai, India. Nice. Yeah, I'm actually gluten intolerant. I can't have gluten, so this is a gluten-free beer. Made by Kidadu here in Wellington, and it's really good. Like, you wouldn't know that wasn't a normal hazy craft beer from whoever. Yeah, lots of music, I bet. And I bet it's one of those things too where people talk about the Seattle sound, right? Like, which is kind of that grungy rock stuff, and there's way more music that goes on than just that, right? You know what I mean? Like, that often gets talked about in Wellington, where I live. You know, they talk about the Wellington sound with bands like Fat Freddy's Drop and the Black Seeds and these sort of reggae dub bands, you know, that have got a reggae influence, but it's broader than that. Do you know what I mean? And they say this is the Wellington sound, and I'm like, man, only if you're like not paying attention, because there's so much music going on here. There are more jazz gigs here than there are gigs playing that sort of music they call the Wellington sound. It's just that there's been some success with some of those bands of recent, you know. Yeah, Seattle. I'm trying to. I played with a trumpet player actually from Seattle. He's kind of a famous guy, a guy called Alan Vizzuti. I don't know if you all know him or if you've come across Alan Vizzuti. Alan Vizzuti is a freak musician. Equally at home playing classical and jazz. And, you know, for trumpet players, that's not normally the thing. Oh, hit like and subscribe, people, if you haven't done that already. Please do. It really helps. Like, a lot of musicians can play one or the other. They don't tend to play both. And he just has this thing. He's the skinny little Italian guy, Alan Vizzuti. And he'll just play these notes that are ridiculously high and strong and powerful. I remember like the first concert we did, he came out and he just walked out, and he's a skinny little guy, and he just goes bang with the biggest, loudest, fullest sounding note you've ever heard, and the whole band was just like, whoa, like where did that come from, you know? And then of course, great improviser, great classical musician. The dude can just do it all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I do wander off a bit, don't I, where I kind of go. Someone says here, love when you wander off and it's people get ready. Yeah, I can't help it. Like if I play a chord like that, I will just hear a song, and I know that I probably shouldn't, but like I'm playing that right now and I'm hearing. Even that, like the minor. Do you know what I'm thinking? David Gilmour's soaring guitar solo. In fact, I wonder if there's a backing track for that. Why don't I try playing along with something like that? Comfortably numb backing track. Yeah, there we go. There'll be one on YouTube. Comfortably numb last solo. Yeah, that's what we want. Funny thing is that most bands of the grunge era formed and lived around Olympia. Yeah. Yeah, the Evergreen College thing was a gathering place. Once they started getting regular club stuff, they moved up to Seattle. Yeah, I think that happens quite a bit, right? That things, music sort of mutates and moves and goes to an area and then can become famous from that era. But, you know, this is Primal Music's Comfortably Numb backing track, last solo. I'm going to go with the Sir Riot. It's one of my favorite distortion pedals, overdrive pedals. And just see what comes out. I know this is B minor. I know the tune, right? See what happens. Yeah. It's really hard to get that sound to work at that volume. I got both of my amps are on at the moment, as you can probably see back there. Got the Bassman and the Deluxe, but they're about as quiet as humanly possible, because my microphone here would be clipping like mad. And there's another thing, I just can't stand out of tune guitars. Thanks, man. I'm glad you like it. It's really hot today, like it's been stinking hot, and my studio's been closed all day, and it gets hot in here. Yeah, I mean, the grunge thing is interesting, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, the thing that I got from it was people talked about it kind of being the death of the guitar solo, bands like Nirvana and stuff like that. But to me, it was like, it became about like just new music. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, there was lots of really good music around. I mean, you know. A comment here says, wow, I looked up your name in the 3 million files and found it. Guess whose I didn't? Guthrie Trapp. That's really funny. Yeah, because you know me, I'm like this billionaire, part of the elite club of billionaires that gets to hang out with people like Jeffrey Epstein. That's me, you know. I made $1 billion playing guitar. If I had $1 billion, I wouldn't hang out with that guy, right? Who? I mean, you know, these people are saying, well, I'm not guilty because, you know, I was just hanging out with him and the teenage girls. Hey, let's not go there, eh? Like, it's bad enough to kind of where all that stuff's in the media, right? But that did make me laugh. Thank you very much for the laugh. I appreciate that. Nick, could you please explain how you route your two amps are connected, the routing signal chain? Yeah, I covered it earlier, but I'll do it again. That's all good because you probably just joined. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm running straight to my pedal board, which is down here, and I've literally just got the reverb on. That's all it is, and that's from the Fractal VP4. And out of that, I'm coming out in mono into this radial big shot ABY, and from that I'm splitting out these two outputs to the 2 amps back there, which is my Victoria Bassman and my Victoria Tweed Deluxe. Amazing amps. I'm so glad I've kept those in there. They just work, right? And from there, so it's dual mono. It's not running stereo. From there, I've lifted the output on output B. I'll show you why. Hear the hum came back in? Right. So that ground lift is lifting the hum. When you run 2 amps together, you do get hum. I wonder if that'd be more noticeable. It's not really more noticeable with distortion because it's a ground loop hum, right? Take it out, it's gone, right? And there's an isolated output, right? So that's both amps running the hum that you would get just from the signal going to both. You can isolate one. These are quite heavy pedals, so I guess they've got some kind of transformer in there. And then this is just 1 amp. I'm not even sure which one. That's the Deluxe, and this is both. You know what I mean? Just a great sound. It was a mosh-up of Hendrix and punk and some metals. Oh, what was that? What was a mashup of Hendrix, punk, and some metal? Would take Strat and amp instead of any Island. Yeah, I know, right? Tell me about it. Like Strat and a good amp. You can do a lot with that. You know what I mean? Like if I had to choose just one guitar though, I'd probably take a 335. And as much as I love a Strat, like I think a Strat's more versatile, and I actually do take a Strat a lot of the time. I think a 335 type guitar is probably as versatile as you get, right? Or Tele, or you know what I mean. But I don't know. There's just something about these, a bit of hollowness. Because if you play without an amp, you can hear it. It gets sound. So if I was stuck on an island and you know you don't necessarily have an amp, I'd go for one of these because Strat you're not gonna hear. Comment here says I pair my AC30 with HS30. Sounds amazing. Fantastic, man. Those matchless HS30s are supposed to be incredible amps. You know, I've only played a couple of matchless amps, and I played them back in the day, and they were early ones. It was actually funny enough when I bought my blue Paul Reed Smith, which I will show you. Can I do this without strangling myself? When this guitar arrived into New Zealand, there was actually two of them that arrived into New Zealand. This one and a red one. And this one sounded the better of the two. And the guy that owned the music shop bought this one. And I bought it off him years later. You know, for a lot of money. It was way more money than I've ever spent on a guitar. But nonetheless, I remember playing this through a matchless combo DC30 maybe. Feel like it was. And it was fantastic. It sounded really good. Now, I don't know what the matchless amps are like now because I haven't used one. But I mean, this is a Mark Sampson era matchless. You know, it was like when they were really the thing. And these Paul Reed Smiths, I mean, this is... it's got the... You probably can't see it. But it's got the serial number here written in pencil. And the inlay is actually brass or something, you know. And it's actual inlay. It's not a stencil. So, you know, they used to go to all that trouble. Now it's just a stencil print or whatever. Cheers, thank you. Says a lot. Thanks a lot for explaining that, Nick. No problem. I just thought I'd jump on here. I mean, I don't really plan these live streams. I like them to just kind of be off the cuff. Do you know what I mean? Like I could say it's going to be 9 o'clock at this time, but I'd rather just jump on when I feel inspired to. Do you know what I mean? And I got this pedal home, and I thought, well, I'm going to test it out and see if it works, right? Because I just got it, bought it off a dude online, and I thought I want to check that it works. So why not do it and do some playing with it? You know what I mean? Yeah, oh, beautiful guitar. Thanks. Yeah, it's great. Both of these are good guitars. In fact, why don't I show you the Paul Reed Smith? You want to hear it? And you'll hear how different it sounds from that other guitar I was just playing. Right? If I go to those two. My favorite setting on this is those two pickups, and especially with this sort of tone. Yeah, it's a nice sounding guitar, but you can see what I mean. It's kind of, the P90s have a completely different thing than the than humbuckers. Do you know what I mean? They're just not the same thing at all. It's not really a Strat sound either, although kind of kind of, it's got this mid-rangey thing that's just different. Do you know what I mean? Take what you like, Nick, and you ain't done the time. Use it on the barbecue. I don't follow. Take what you like, Nick, if you ain't done the time. Use it on the barbecue. Okay, sorry, I don't know what you mean by that. But next comment was, found your channel like a month ago, watching every video since. Thank you so much. Oh man, thanks so much for the support. That's awesome. I mean, I love hearing stuff like that, you know, because doing this stuff is really hard work, as you probably all know. Like, it's a lot of work to edit videos and do this stuff, and I'm not doing this for money. I don't even have my channel monetized. I mean, I could. It's there, but I'm not doing it for that, you know. And to me, it's like, just put stuff out in the world, see what it does. If someone gets some use from it, I'm more than happy with it for that reason. See what happens, you know what I mean? I get companies sending me lots of gear, so that's nice. Always nice. I love trying that stuff. So that's a benefit for me. I've had gigs out of this stuff, so that's a benefit for me. So, and people generally say they like this, like what I do here. So as long as those things are happening, I'm good. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Oh, the desert island thing. Okay, take what you like, Nick. If you ain't done the time, use it on the barbecue. Yeah, that makes sense now, because I'd read it later after I'd said that comment. Yeah, I see what you mean now. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, which guitar is going to burn the best if you're stuck on a desert island? I mean, I would, right? Like, to me, it's like, you know, people get really precious about guitars, and I love guitars, you know what I mean? Like, I've spent my life playing these things. But they're just an instrument. If it's between this guitar and me dying on a desert island, you guarantee this thing's going on the barbecue and getting burnt to be able to keep myself alive. You know what I mean? We all would, right? 330 SM Superstrat says, curious, do you all in New Zealand have local guitar brands like Nacho Caster type boutique stuff? Not really, no. Nacho Casters are a whole another level from what I understand. I've never played one, but I've spoken to John Cordy about it, and he said his one is awesome. I remember Jake Loosemore talking about his, how amazing it is, and people like that have used them. I think Julian Lage uses one. I haven't spoken to Julian about it, but I think he has one, and you know what I mean? Like, people loving those instruments. They're a different thing, you know. There are people making guitars here, but it's a relatively small thing here. There's not really much of a boutique stuff with the guitars, you know what I mean? There's a few. There's Solace, I haven't tried yet, but they're around. Most Kiwi musicians I know play American or Asian guitars. Like, by Asian I mean Ibanez, these sorts of things, and by American I mean Fender Gibson, right? Paul Reed Smith. These are the instruments that tend to be the thing. There are some good amp makers around, and definitely good pedal stuff around, you know, guitar pedals. My buddy Ben Fulton makes amazing pedals. He just lives up the road. You know, he's not far from here. And then there's Stefan, also friend of the channel, Stefan from Big Noise Amplification, making really fantastic pedals in the South Island. There's also Glenn, who made the pickups for the Paul Reed Smith. Glenn Evans of Mr. Glenn's Pickups. He custom makes pickups, made these here. That dude knows as much about pickups as anybody, and I would rate his pickups as highly as any of the top end stuff. And they're at better prices. So for me, I've used Lola pickups before. Prior to using Glenn's pickups, I'd say Lola were my favorite. And I think Lola and Mr. Glenn pickups are on par in terms of quality. I think they're both as good as each other. But I like to support local, so I'd rather support Glenn anyway. So, you know what I mean? So, and Glenn's pickups, you know, if you're going to order them, they're cheaper than Lola's or Lindy Freyland's or whatever, you know what I mean? It ships worldwide, so there are people doing some amazing boutique stuff here. There's just a few of them. There are other people. There's Tone Merchants, who I mentioned, who bring some really nice stuff in. He supplied the wiring kit for my Strat, which has been working great. Question here, Nick, do you play any gospel worship music? I don't, no. I got some friends who play in the worship scene. It's not really something I've been a part of. And the gospel stuff. The gospel stuff is fantastic. I love it. I draw influence from it, but I don't really play that music. You know, it's a whole other thing. Comment here says, nice, live close to Lola, but they're still expensive. They are really expensive, aren't they? But, you know, it's worth it. Jason makes great quality stuff, and I bought stuff from him before. I remember talking to Jason one time about a pickup, and I was looking for, actually, funny enough, in that Paul Reed Smith, I was looking for, no, in my black Strat, that I used to have, the Yamaha. I wanted Jason to make me, this is years and years ago, 15, 20 years ago, to make me a mini humbucker to go in the neck position that was sort of, I wanted quite a bit of sparkle out of it to go in the neck position. And I remember talking to him, and actually I first spoke to Stephanie, who was his wife at the time. I'm not sure if they're still married, but she said, oh, Jason's got your album on in the workshop while he's making pickups. And I was like, wow. That kind of shit is crazy, you know what I mean? But we chatted, and he made me a pickup and that stuff, and I put it in that guitar and used it. And then years later, I got in touch with him again, and he goes, oh, I haven't heard of you before. And I was like, you play on my album, dude. You made me a pickup. Like, he'd obviously just forgotten, you know. It had been years, so it was all good. But, yeah, he makes pretty amazing stuff. I heard you mention Desert Island, kinda sus. Yeah, well, that's where it started from, was someone mentioned it was you, wasn't it? That's Alexander Style listening to how you sound while he winds your pickups. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Very, very cool of him, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's a Sko tune, that's right. That was Chank, appropriately named, isn't it? Sounds like a chanky kind of guitar part. Maybe I'll play a Sko. Why don't I find a Sko backing track thing? See what comes up. John Scofield backing track. Let's see. Jam Tracks channel. I've already played some of those, so let's put this on. Jam Tracks channel. This is one BB King honor lick in honor of his birthday. Sure. Man, we all owe BB King so much, you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, like, that's kind of where the blues is. Yeah, well, you got a couple of extra for free. There you go. So this is John Scofield Funky Blues. Oh, there we go. That chord reminded Korn. Huh? Cool track. I like that track. That's cool. Yeah, man. I mean, if people are into worship music, it's cool. You know, like whatever you're into. You know. And people have their different reasons for why they believe stuff and what they want to do and what their music lies. You know. I don't judge anybody on any of that kind of stuff and their reasons. Who's to say they're any more right or wrong than the next person? Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, music comes from a different place. For me, music is... My whole point in doing music is that I have something to say. That's why I'm doing this. Do you know what I mean? It's always been that reason. Do you know what I mean? Like last night when I was playing the concert, the whole point was to try and give the audience an experience and have them feel something from the music that we were playing. Be that joy, if that was the moment of the music, or be that sadness, that we did a couple of slower blues things where you're really trying to milk everything out of it to give them that feeling of it. There was a couple of political songs in there. Matt, the singer, decided to write a couple of political songs, particularly about New Zealand kind of politics, which I think is great. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're take the piss out of politicians. Fuck the politicians. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're supposed to work for the people. And so often they don't. Do you know what I mean? And so he was like kind of pissed off about it, and he just went right. So he wrote a tune about the lack of ferries. For those that are not in New Zealand, we had 2 ferries that were ordered, and a new government come in and cancelled them. And to get out of the deal cost the country $660 million or something. I think total all up the bill's going to be about $1 billion to get out of this. And the reason they cancelled it was to kind of screw over the last lot of people that were in the last lot of politicians. So Matt decided to write a blues about it last night. And I kind of think, like, if that doesn't give you the blues, then what does? You know what I mean? And the other one he wrote was there's a prominent police officer here who got caught with objectionable material, let's just say that much, on his computer, and he was the second in charge in New Zealand police, and he basically got off almost with no punishment, you know. So Matt wrote a tune, a version of a classic jazz standard, and he kind of took this tune. Which one was it? What's that tune? Oh God, I can't even think of it. I still can't even think of the name of the song. Oh, I'm terrible with the names of songs. Anyway, I'll give up. If I can think of it, I'll drop it in the comments. But he made a point of doing that. And, you know, to me, that's kind of what music's all about. And that's why when I get bored with really technical music, you know, like people say, have you checked out this guitar player or that guitar player? And 9 times out of 10, I go and watch them and I go, I'm bored shitless. This is doing nothing for me. And it's usually because it's really highly technical stuff. You know, whoever, I won't name names, but, you know, someone who's like maybe can play really fast. And to someone who's like a non-musician or maybe a new to music, they're going, wow, that's impressive. And I'm like, well, so what's the musical content, right? Like, if the playing fast doesn't serve the emotion that you're doing, then it's just... Same with people who get really harmonically complex for the sake of it. I'm bored. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if I hear someone like John Coltrane play, you know, it gets harmonically complex, but it was coming from deep down in that guy's gut. You know, he had something to say. And to me, that's what his expression was. And so that's what it's all about. Comment here says, I had a buddy that booted the FBI training for that when we were young. Yeah, I'm sure it happens. But to get to number 2 in the police in New Zealand, and then the other police officers stuck up for him, and you know, it was kind of, yeah, there was lots of questionable things around it. Anyway, so he wrote a tune about that. So those had a certain emotional point he wanted to make to the audience. We did some slow blues for that purpose. We did some kind of happier tunes that were sort of almost country blues. We played this cool tune. I can't remember what it was called right now, but, because again, me and the names of tunes, it was... It's such a cool progression, isn't it? 1, 5 of the key, 1, and then this 3 major should be to fit in the key, but that's a little more joyful. I think it was called Railroad Blues. For music to grab me, it has to have rhythm and movement. I always say I love music that moves like a woman walking in a summer dress. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, for me, it's like, depending on the type of music, but for one, I've got to have it's got to have some groove about it. You know what I mean? Like I want to tap my foot or bounce my head or like feel like dancing to the music. You know what I mean? If it's a certain thing, if it's something kind of more slower and like a ballady thing, then I want to feel something from that person. Like what are they trying to tell me? Do you know what I mean? And there can be all kinds of range in that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, next comment says, well done, Nick. If I want fast, I'll watch the Olympics. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against people playing fast if that has like an emotional expression behind it. You know, Jimi Hendrix would sometimes play some kind of faster bluesy lines, and Stevie Ray Vaughan most definitely did. But it was coming from a point of emotion rather than just fast for the sake of fast, and that was the point I was making. You know what I mean? And yeah, I agree. We'll watch the Olympics if we want that, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like it happens, you know. Like fast tempo bebop stuff, you know, I often hear people playing that music and they're just kind of playing through chord changes, and now you have to do that, don't get me wrong, you got to be able to do that to be able to get to that, but if you've not got anything to say on that, then I'm going to be bored. Do you know what I mean? Can you do a Chet Atkins kind of thing? Not really. I'm not really much of a Chet Atkins style player. It's not my thing. So I madly appreciate Chet Atkins, but I've never really studied it. So I'm not gonna go there right now. I play became of Jimmy, but am imitated by guitar because of Chet. Yeah, I mean, Chet Atkins that's a whole style of playing. Do you know what I mean? And it's definitely not one I've kind of gone down the road of much. You know what I mean? There's lots of styles of music like that. A buddy of mine, about 10 years ago, was kind of hounding me to do more Brazilian stuff, you know, Latin music, because he was really into it as a drummer, you know. And I was like, man, I had a hard time keeping up with being the rock guy, the blues guy, the jazz guy, the funk guy. That's kind of and, you know, occasionally a little bit of classical in there. There's a lot of stuff on my plate to try and, even just becoming proficient at jazz. There's your whole life just there trying to do that, let alone becoming proficient at blues, because they're not the same thing. All right? And then being like a really good rock player. People think rock music is easy to play. And I'm like, okay, well, go on then, show me. And then usually they can't play rock music to save themselves, you know what I mean? And so play me some Hendrix, and then they ain't got it, do you know what I mean? And you see that all the time, but a lot of people put down the blues, especially jazz musicians, which is the dumbest shit ever. Because the thing is, like jazz, there is no jazz without blues. It came from the blues. And the first thing that you hear is you get them to play a blues groove and they can't groove, right? Something like... Yeah, I know what you mean. The comment here says, Al Di Meola's got that Latin thing covered. That's not what I mean by Latin music. I can do that. What I mean by Latin is like the real stuff, you know what I mean? Like your Joe Bosco and Torino, and like the people who really do the Latin thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, I can do some of it. Like, you know, I can do the jazz versions of those things. You know, like bossa nova. Samba, you know, samba stuff and some things like that, but like to really play that style, you've got to go down the road. You've got to know all the material. Do you know what I mean? Like, to being able to play some bossa nova grooves does not make you a Latin player. Do you know what I mean? You got to know the material, all the stuff that came. You got to know the people that came. Oh, thank you very much. A comment here says, you're a good player, Nick. You inspire me. Your tone and style is why I'm here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Something nice about the 2 amp thing. But yeah, Al Di Meola kind of, to me, is more of like kind of a rock player. And don't get me wrong, mad respect. I hear him like a rock, he's really like a rock fusion guy, and does do Latin, has some big Latin stuff in his music. But, you know, it's even dumb of me to say Latin music, because, right, like, what does that mean? Well, it's like saying American music. It's such a broad thing, you know, the difference between like one area and one thing, and it's a whole different world. You know, if you haven't checked out Joe Bosco, Joao Bosco, Bosco, that dude is seriously heavy. Oh, jeepers, that gave me a hell of a fright. I was like, what the hell has happened to my amp? It's that dehumidifier that's sitting down behind there. It's just in. Oh, give me 1 second. I'm going to turn that thing off. My first thought was, oh no, there goes a tube. Oh, there's more money down the drain. There you go. I'm going down the Robin Ford rabbit hole lately. Oh man, that's a good one to go down. Robin's awesome. Why don't I play a Robin track? I'll find a Robin Ford style backing track. There is one on here that I've used, and the weird thing with this backing track is it has a weird glitch It's like one beat gets dropped in the middle of the track, and it gets me every time. Hopefully, I'm aware this time, and hopefully it doesn't get me this time. Robin's a good one to check out, man. He can really play. Comment here says, when he got into the acoustic stuff, that seemed more deep into it. Yeah, definitely. But he's still sounding like a jazz guy coming to that music rather than someone who grows up in that scene and plays that music. It's just different. Do you know what I mean? You gotta study it and spend your lifetime doing it, and you really have to. If you want to become a specialist at it, you have to be a specialist at it. Do you know what I mean? That's why kind of what I was saying about what I do. You know, same thing with classical guitar for me. I play some classical guitar, but I'm definitely would never call myself a classical guitarist. And if I was going to do that and become more of that, I would have to really focus on it and knuckle down and try and get to a point where I really had that stuff together. Do you know what I mean? Because it does. I mean, classical guitar, you spend a lifetime doing this. Amazing music. And really challenging. And, you know, like I said, I'm keeping the jazz thing together and the rock thing and the funk thing and soul music and blues especially. You know what I mean? Anyway, Robin Ford style backing track. Let's do this. Basically help the poor. There we go, there's the glitch. David Gilmour ripoff. Track's coming to an end. Yeah. Robin sits more in the backbeat and then doesn't in flourishes do that. I don't know what you mean. I never said I was going to play like Robin Ford. But thanks. Sits more in the backbeat. What do you mean by that? I have no idea. Anyway. Thank you. Yeah, I really like minor blues. I don't know what it is about that, the minor blues thing. I've actually been thinking about doing a new record. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I've kind of gone back and forth with various different ideas. And the more I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of thinking I'd kind of like to do a sort of a blues record, but not really just like, not like a straight ahead blues record. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't think that would be quite disingenuous of me to do that, because that's not really what I do, right? Like my music has a mixture of jazz and blues and funk and soul and some more rock tones like that, which is kind of where Robin's coming from that 0.2, right? Like it's a bridge pickup, humbuckery, rock kind of sound, right? But you know, I don't know if you saw that video I did the other day where about the Boss GE7. Google the backbeat guitar, lol. Okay. Yeah, the with the 12/8 thing I did. What if you had to play... Oh, so anyway, that was like a I'd rather go blind or Tennessee whiskey type thing. And I was thinking, I'd really love to record something like that. You know, kind of like a slower thing like that, like a 680 type, 12/8 type vibe. And then, of course, a minor blues of sort, some kind of funky groove stuff. What if you had to play everything in major, but styles that might normally be minor blues? Sure, you know, the major blues thing is super useful. Major pentatonic, right? If you guys don't know it, right? Like to me, it's still bluesy and soulful. You know. I think a lot of times people think major pentatonic is just the minor pentatonics, but you're instead of you're thinking F sharp minor over A, and that is totally a useful way of doing it. But the better way of thinking about that the better way of doing that is to think shape number 2 of the minor pentatonic as being beat as shape number 1. Then your point of reference is going to be A. Actually, I'll tell you who used major pentatonic a bit was like Jimi Hendrix, right? Like... whatever it is, I'm just probably not exactly what. And that's all major pentatonic stuff, you know. And the interesting thing is, if you're playing a major pentatonic, you can still put minor pentatonic in it, and use that as a point of tension against the sound, right? Like if I'm in this. Now minor pentatonic. I was showing a student that the other day, you know. There's something real pretty in that sort of sound, you know what I mean? And then putting that minor pentatonic in is another thing. And so for me, it's like major pentatonic is like, to me, is like the more happiest side of the blues. You know, minor pentatonic's the more saddest side of the blues. Both of them can kind of cross over and be whatever you want to say. But, you know, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Like, people think a lot of blues is sad music, and some of it is. But not all, right? Like, I mean, let the good times roll. Right, like that was one of B.B. King's. It was a Louis Jordan song, but I think it was Louis Jordan. But B.B. played that on pretty much every gig, I think. And let the good times roll. I mean, it's in the title, right? It's I don't care if you're young or old. Let's get together and let the good times roll. Like that's a great thing, right? I have to go in a minute, folks. I'm roasting in here. I'm sweating my ass off because it's really hot, and my studio's been closed up all day, so it's kind of hot in here, and I haven't had a chance to air it out. And I've been doing this for nearly an hour, or an hour 22 minutes, which I normally try to keep these to an hour. But I wanted to kind of jump on here and show you how I'm running this. And will I use 2 amps all the time? No, it's not practical, right? There's only certain gigs where you even need to. But when you do, it's a cool thing to have, right? You know, and will there be times when you don't need an amp at all? You just use a modeler. Absolutely, I do that quite a bit. I'd say about 60% of the time I play, 65, yeah, probably 65% of the time I play, I'm using the modeler. Most of the stuff you hear on here on YouTube is the modeler. You know what I mean? The Fractal stuff, either the AM4, FM3, or one of those other. And then, you know, I use an amp the rest of the time because sometimes the amp's the right thing. And to me, it's just all tools. So, what a privilege. What a privilege at whole. It's cold here. I'm shivering. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, depending on where you are in the world, it's either summer or winter, right? Depending on which season. In New Zealand is summer. Wellington's not, where I live in Wellington, New Zealand, it's not really known for being a warm place generally. You know, in summer we'll get about 25 degrees. You know, it's about as hot as it ever gets, which is in Fahrenheit, I guess, about 70. But it never gets below 5 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 20. So we have a range from about 20 to about 65, 70, something like that. That's our range in Wellington. So it doesn't snow here. It doesn't really get that cold and doesn't really get that hot. You go further north you go here, you can get 30-degree days pretty in summer a fair bit. But it's different, you know. Some friends of mine just got back from Australia. They were enjoying the southern hemisphere summer. Yeah, Australia heat, man, that's a whole nother thing. That's nothing to joke about, right? Those parts of Australia are some of the hottest on the planet. I remember being in Perth in Australia, and it was 42 degrees when we were there, which I think is 105 or something Fahrenheit, something like that. You know, like ridiculously hot. The only other time I've been in 40 plus degree temperature was in Las Vegas, and it's no fun. Man, you're running to the car. It's as bad as it being raining, you know what I mean? Like you run into the car, straight to the air conditioning. And can you honor the indigenous people and get an indigenous guitarist on stream? What indigenous people? You mean indigenous people of New Zealand? I've had some friends on here who are indigenous New Zealanders, and there are other people that I've talked to about doing this stuff. But I mean, my channel's really about me. That's what I'm here doing. So, saw your video about the GE7. Thanks for doing that, Nick. I finally put the GE7 on my board. I found your video really relevant. Awesome. Cool, man. Yeah, it's on my board right now. I can't really show you, but it's on the floor right now. And you know, I kind of have left it set up with this setting. So this is, and then if I hit the GE7, I'd probably even change that a bit more. That's probably better there. So this is without it. Now put it on. So you see, you can use it to put some sparkle in. It's a real powerful tool, the G7, because you can shape things. Hey, I'm gonna have to go, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing this. It's been fun, and I hope you enjoyed seeing this. And yeah, we'll catch you soon. I'm gonna get another G7. I want to have it on my smaller board too, because it is really super useful. Or at least have one floating around that I can chuck it in a gig bag, and just that time you need it, just plug it in. I want to spot for a G7, but trying to stay on my compact boards, so I have to pull something else off. I know that's always the thing, isn't it, right? Anyway, I gotta go, folks. Thanks for joining me. And put that in the comments. See you all soon. Take care.